All right, welcome back. Yes, those are our little chicks. They are about 1 week old now, just over that. And they are not the ones that we were trying to hatch ourselves. What happened with the ones that we were trying to hatch was after I did the video and I did the candling, I put them back on the heat mat and the temperature in the container went all the way up to about 42, 43 degrees. So I think I cooked them. One did start to push its way out, but then eventually died as well. And so we just fed them to the dogs. It is what it is. But these little ones that I just showed you are our meat birds that we picked up. And I thought I'd do a video on the meat birds themselves because the price of meat, especially chicken, is gonna be going up. If you haven't seen the flu that is hitting the chicken industry, and they're killing off a lot of chickens, so if the prices haven't gone up, they're about to. So I thought I'd talk to you about the the process that we take in raising our meat birds. And it's a very similar process with egg layers too, so you can take this for both your meat birds and your egg layers. Now, the first thing that you're gonna want for both types of birds is going to be a heat lamp. You're also gonna need some sort of feeder. This year we switched out our feeder from last year. Last year we had a feeder that is like this. I would not recommend these. The problem we found with this feeder is that the chickens like to roost on this or sit up on top of that, and then they basically shit into their food, and it makes a huge mess. So the one that you saw at the beginning of the video actually has just a bar here that spins, so if they were to sit on top of the feeder, they would just get spun right off. And we're finding it's making a huge difference in the and how clean the feed stays. Now, the other thing you're gonna also want is bedding, and what we buy is wood shavings. This is basically the bag that we have here. I use about a quarter bag, if that. It's compressed, by the way, for what they have here, and in about a couple weeks I'll be putting them outside into their chicken coop there with new fresh bedding. Also, you're gonna need different types of feed. So what you're gonna need is a starter feed that you're gonna need for both your egg layers and your meat chickens. And you're also gonna need your grower feed for your meat birds, as well as your egg layers. And then the egg layers go to a layer feed once they produce their first egg. And that's how you, those are the three types of food for chickens. What we do when we first get our day-old chickens home is we like to put in this vitamin powder. It's a water-soluble powder that we put into their water for the first 4 days, and it's basically a mixture of different vitamins and minerals. So it's got biotin, vitamin A, D3, B12, E, B3, so on and so forth. And yes, this bag was only $8. I'm not sure if you can see that on there. It was only $8, and this is gonna last us at least for this year's meat birds. We're gonna be doing at least 2 rounds, maybe 3. We haven't decided on that. Also, when you do get your day-old chicks, you're gonna want to see how the chickens lay around your heat lamp. If the chickens are or the chicks are huddling together, it typically means that your light is a little too high off the ground and they need a little bit extra warmth. If you see them spread out quite a bit, that means it's probably too hot and you might want to raise it. So I have it at a nice decent height where they're usually now 3 here, 2 there, and just kind of spaced out nicely around the light. So they seem very comfortable. And one thing I also do is like to spread out my water and my feed and not have them next to each other. One thing you're gonna notice with meat birds is that they are a very lazy bird, and they don't like to move around much, especially as they mature and start really putting on the weight. So in order for them to drink water and have feed, I do put them a little bit of a distance away, and as they grow they'll be further away, so that way that they do move around from side to side and do get some sort of exercise. So now we're gonna get into the feed. Now, like I said, there's 3 different types of feed. You have your starter feed, you have your grower feed, and then you have your layer feeds if you're gonna be moving on to the egg layers. So the starter feed can come in medicated and non-medicated blends. The medicated you're gonna typically want if you're picking up unvaccinated chicks, and the non-medicated is gonna be if you have vaccinated chicks. And their starter feed is typically called a crumble, and if you look at this, it is basically a very like sand almost, and it's very fine because they are small and they don't have big mouths or a lot of jaw strength. They need something smaller so that way they're not choking on their food. And then we keep them on the grower feed for, on the starter feed for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then we switch them over to a grower feed. And a grower feed is a little bit more of a pebble. It's not quite like a layer feed, which is in this bowl here. You can see that it is quite bigger pellets, the layer feed, than the grower, just because that your chickens aren't fully grown in the grower stage. And again, they'll need something smaller but a little bit bigger in size just to be able to feed them quick enough. Because once these guys start eating, they're gonna be going through about a 20-kilo bag. I believe that's about 50 pounds of feed about every 3 days. It's quite a bit, and we do have 17 of them, so it might be a little bit more because that's what we did with last year with 15 chickens. Now, the difference in the protein levels from your starter, grower, and your layer, your starter will have at least 20% protein in its in the mixture. The one I'm currently running is by High Pro Feeds, and their protein level is at 21. After that, you are gonna be going to a grower feed, and that is typically between 16 and 18% protein. And the reason you want the lower protein is so that the bird isn't putting on as much weight as quickly, so that way it's not having any problems with its internal organs or their feet given out and not being able to carry them. You'll notice if they do eat a lot, especially your meat birds, that they will start getting a little drowsy and you won't see the energy there. So back off on the feed a little bit if you do notice that with your meat birds. Now, our feeding schedule and what we're gonna be feeding them, like I said, for the first 3 to 4 weeks, we are gonna keep them on the starter feed, and then we switch them over to a grower feed. And we run the grower feed right till the end. There are some people that will run a layer feed, which has a lower protein level on the last week, just so that they're not getting that big or too big, so that they can still be manageable. But we run our meat birds on grower for up to 8 weeks. So 3 weeks we're gonna have them on starter, and then the last 5 weeks we have them on grower. After 8 weeks we butcher them, and last year we were getting about 7 pounds dressed weight said and done, and the dogs had some chicken heads, chicken feet, and chicken wings to eat as well. Now, when you bring your chickens home, you're gonna want to feed them 24/7. Always have enough feed out there for them so that they can eat, enough water to drink all the time. And last year what we did was we fed them as much food non-stop, 24/7 right through all 8 weeks. This year what we're gonna do is we're gonna feed them for the first week 24/7, and then after the first week, which is actually started last night, is we're gonna start removing their feed for about 6 hours first, and then work it all the way up to 12, so that they're only eating 12 hours a day, and that way they're not gaining as much weight. Their internal organs will work a lot more efficient and potentially give us the same weight with reducing the amount of feed that we give them. And another note is that we do feed both our chickens, the meat birds, and the egg layers. Everything that we throw into the compost, we'll dump usually right on top of our garden right now because we don't have anything in the gardens currently. And the chickens will come in and eat that. So onion peels, like cucumber peels, anything that you would throw in the compost, we usually throw that on the ground and they come and clean that up. Now, when you get to butchering your meat birds on the 8th week, some people do it a little earlier at 6 if they want little smaller ones that they can fry up, but we like to maximize our chicken size and go for the full 8 weeks. And on the last day, we don't feed our chickens for the last 24 hours. And the reason you want to do that is you want to make sure that they clean out their crop and their digestive tract, so that way when you do go to butcher them, it's a lot more of a cleaner process. Hopefully this gave you some insight into how to raise your own meat birds and potentially your own egg layers. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave us a comment in the comments below, and we will get back to you sooner than later. Typically it's Kimberly replying to them because I'm usually out and about and got things to do on the homestead. So again, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.